Alright, it's a very cluttered desk today. We're going to do this set, which is a Lego Friends set from last year. But I got it reducedly. I've been putting off buying this because I was hoping it would get really cheap. There's a couple of other ones from last year that are still at the shop that are going to get cheaper, I hope. But I got this one because it was the last one in the shop, and I really wanted to get these Technic ring things. And I don't think I'm going to be buying a Technic set with this in it. So this has got quite a few, by the looks of things, quite a few Technic pieces in it. It doesn't look very complicated though, does it? For a reasonably sized thing. It's not a 4+, but it should be fun, I think. It's good for the parts, but there's some interesting characters. Like it definitely looks like it's... where did I put my sharp knifey thing? Oh, here it is. Whoops, don't break things. That reminds me. Oh, right, okay. What it reminded me of was, what kind of printer do I have? It's always the thing. I go to opportunity stores, thrift stores, charity shops, and sometimes they have toner cartridges. And I'm like, wow, and they're quite cheap, right? Much cheaper than buying it from a, they're like brand new name, the proper, like I've got a Brother laser printer, and they have proper Brother laser toner, but they can always, like, I can't actually remember what my printer is, so I don't know if it's valid. And looking at that, like, I wasn't listed for the printer that I actually own, but it's like, looks like that from the numbers, it's like I've just got the double-sided version of the, and the toners for the single-sided version, so maybe it would work. I don't know, I should check. I think I got toner once before, and all I had to do was break a tab a bit and sort of stuff it in, and it actually worked, but it didn't work quite as well as it should, and they gave up and they used the proper one. By looking at my printer right now, I've actually got a brand new correct toner in its box sitting next to it, and I've replaced the toner. So, and that toner has a price tag on it of $5, which is pretty good value because they're normally like $100. So in New Zealand. Well, they were the last time I looked, which was years ago. So I've had my printer for years. But anyway, we're not here to talk about printers. We're here to talk about this. And this is thankfully in 2 bags because I didn't really want to do it all in one night because I want to go to sleep. But I want to do a video. So this seemed like the good. Otherwise, I'll be doing a space shuttle or something. So, well, actually, I could have done that. Oh, right. Anyway, I did get some cool Lego today, so I am going to show. So I didn't buy this Lego set today. I bought this quite a while ago. But anyway, I bought Mindstorm's NXT 2.0. Not the first time I bought that, but the first time I bought that in a box. So now I think I've got 4 of the little boxes, and I've probably got about 10 motors. I don't think I've got complete sets. I've got a couple of complete sets. Plus I've got another couple that are, this bag number 1, that I bought incredibly cheap, like for $1.50. I think it was two hubs and some other bits and pieces and a few other Lego related things. But it was pickup only in Wellington, which I do not live in. And I was supposed to go down to Wellington to visit people, and then I missed my flight. I think I mentioned this because I forgot. I didn't realize that I booked it for 1 week, and in fact I thought it was the next week that my flights were, and then it was too late when I realized that actually no, my flights were a different week, and so I never got to go down. So I finally got a friend to go and pick them up for me. So I've got some more Lego, NXT Lego, at a friend's place in Wellington. I just have to go and actually visit Wellington at some point, which may or may not happen because the reason I wanted to go to Wellington was to visit relatives, but the relatives don't actually live in that city. They live in an adjacent township that's about 100 kilometers away. And it's like, well, I'm probably going to drive, and I'm probably not going to go all the way because they live. So you go down, here's Auckland, and then you go down to Wellington, and then I would get the train back this direction to go to visit my relatives. But if I'm going to drive from here, I'm not going to drive all the way down there and then drive back. I'm just going to drive all the way to there. So I might not actually get to go to Wellington anytime soon, which is a bit tricky. But you never know. I might do that. I'll have to get the plane. So let's make these people. So she's got this very exciting. I don't even know who these people are because her hair's like wild colours. Look at this hairpiece. It's crazy. Right, I think it's written on the box. It's Olivia, and this is Stella. This is why I have no idea who this. I wonder if Stella has transitioned to the new series, because this is like the old one with like the old characters. Because as I said, this is a slightly old set. This is a very old nail. Screw. So I don't know where the little ribbon thing is. So this is a horsey. This, I think I've only had this horsey type before as... I was going to say I thought it was a Harry Potter Patronus, but it's not. It's... How does it go on the side? Oh, there's a hole there. It was a Lego Frozen set. There was a translucent one. So I've had them before. I think they must do this. Didn't we just do the step? Like, wasn't that literally the last page? It's like, that's 3, do that, and then take, well, I don't understand. Isn't that exactly, what's the point of this step? I don't understand at all. We haven't got the little top, the one thing that I thought was interesting was this little top hat piece, which doesn't really look like a top hat unless you put it on. But, you know, because you could put it on, she doesn't have a hole in her head. Gosh, what? That's a bit freaky. Not so used to a Lego Friends character that doesn't have a hole in her head, which is a weird thing when you think about it. All right, so now we're gonna quickly make these things because it's taken 8 minutes to do nothing except talk about whatever I was just talking about. Like, I've literally forgotten. Printers, that's right, printer toners. A friend of mine posted on Facebook something about just watching Office Space for the first time, and I did think, you know, popped into my head, because you can't help it, making some comment about smashing printers, which if you've ever watched the movie, this is a well-known scene in the movie, but then you're like, but I didn't, because I'm like, well, that's the obvious thing. That is literally the most obvious thing to say. Oh, I get it. That was. Oh, this is a bit like they give you this one whole piece because then it's easier to take these apart, I guess. But it sort of like falls down because it's not easy to take it out of the middle bit. So anyway, so I think actually it would have been better to do like a standard 4-stud version of this. Because then it would have stuck to this better, and then you could have taken it out of here easier, maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, so I didn't make a comment about the scene in Office Space, because it just feels like, ugh, it's a bit not so, it's not that cool. Like, it's not cool to make a comment about that scene, because it's the obvious thing to make a comment about, and it's like, ugh, boring. But I do see now, obviously, you have to take it off, because you have to put... What a strange... Like, I don't think I've ever done a set where you have to do some steps at the beginning of the book, and then you promptly undo those steps and don't do them again. It's like, well, maybe, who knows? Because you think that would be like the end of the book. You'd be like, well, if you also wanted to take this off, you could do it this way. As a bonus, it's like a post-credit scene. Speaking of post-credit scenes, I did watch Lightyear, finally, about the Pixar film, if there's another Lightyear film. And that has a very short post-credit scene. I honestly didn't expect it. I just thought, well, gosh, these credits take up an awful lot of the runtime. Because Because if you take the credits into it, it almost manages to get to the point that it's a normal 100-minute long film. But then again, oh wait a moment, that's right. Oh, I don't have it on me. It might actually be the correct time. I noticed this thing, you see, that I've got some DVDs out. They're the ones I got out recently, which I misplaced. But, oh, I've already done it. They were, so I got the menu and I got some Star Trek DVDs. I got, so this out of the library, Strange New Worlds, and it's NTSC, which I don't know why they still call them that. I mean, surely this doesn't matter. Everything's digital. But so that's running at. So I think I mentioned on this channel my favorite sort of fact about watching movies in countries like New Zealand, where there's this sort of standard that doesn't make any sense anymore because we live in a digital world of PAL video running at 50 frames per second or 50 fields per second and 25 frames per second. And this sort of persists with DVDs, but also it seems to persist with the digital production where you still have, and cameras that they sell annoyingly, that run 50 frames per second or 25 frames per second and not 60 frames per second. And that causes weird things, is that when they have movies which are 24 frames per second, in PAL countries they just, play it back faster at 25 frames per second. So there's no tricky bits, it's just... And so when you watch movies, like on DVD in a PAL region, like New Zealand or Australia or the UK, the movies often, they just run 4% faster. So a 100-minute movie is usually 96 minutes. But a lot of the DVDs I just got out recently are NTSC, so they run at 30 frames per second, which means they won't have this thing. So they don't run 4% faster because they just do this bit where they have like one frame is 2 frames, it's 2 fields, and then the next frame is 3 fields, and then the next frame is 2 fields. And if you add that all up, 24 turns into 60. And it's like, wow, that's a bit sad because I kind of like that fact that you were essentially watching movies. That's a 4 minutes that you get extra in life for a 100-minute movie. It's like free. It's like, here you go, you watch that film just a little bit faster and you didn't even notice. And you thought everybody's voice is actually 4% higher pitched than people speak 4% faster. Which is kind of good because, I think people used to comment when they come, like Americans when they come to New Zealand have sometimes commented that people in other countries speak a lot faster. Maybe because we're just used to watching things at 4% faster speed on these kind of things. Not TV series, so that's a bit different. But it makes more sense. Like, I'm kind of glad that this is 30 frames per second, because if I'm going to watch it on DVD. So I don't think it's on the streaming services. That I get so confused by Star Trek. It's like, I can watch Star Trek, the original series, on Netflix, but Picard is on Amazon Prime, and this one is not on Amazon Prime. It's on something else that I don't have. And it's like, gosh, why can't they all just be on the one streaming channel? So I got that one on DVD, so that just makes sense. But then, it runs at the right frame rate and it doesn't look a bit odd. Because, the point is, if you buy a DVD and it's an American one, then it gets converted to 50 frames per second, which means it's a bit funny. And then there's no point. There's no point because you're going to watch it on your monitor, and nobody's monitor actually runs at 50 frames per second. It runs at 60 frames per second, so that's all a bit silly. So anyway, we're on to this. We're modding a game. This is what I was talking about with lots of Technic pieces. Oh my gosh, am I actually going to finish this bag number 1 in shockingly half an hour? No, this is ridiculous. This is a yellow piece. I don't really know if I like the multicolored. Oh, look, it's one of these pieces. I like the grey. I still like the grey. I'm finding it hard. Did buy, quickly losing track of what I was saying, some more pick-a-brick things. So I really have to do a pick-a-brick video. In fact, it was buy one, get one half price. So I bought 2 more little packs. I missed out on getting leaves. They had lots of little tiny standard leaf things. Not the little, pointy one with the standard, the ones that look like little leaves, and they're like the really, really useful ones is what I'm trying to say. But I missed those. And so I just got some things which are I'm like, well, I really have to start building stuff. But I think I will be actually building stuff soon. Things are coming together to be more productive. I'm going to be forcing myself to be more productive. Now, these things have a flat side and a round side. So I think I kind of didn't do this quite right. But I'm going to try and get these to match up. Okay, and then we're going to get these cool. So the other thing I thought was interesting was these gold rings. So there's some gold rings. Very Sonic-y. People keep calling me Sonic. I mean little tiny people, children. Okay, one person keeps calling me Sonic because I have blue hair at the moment, and it's like, I was like, well, that's not too bad. It's better than calling me Candy Floss all the time. So, which is what happens. But so this makes me feel at home. This looks like comforting. And now, we've made this. It's kind of like I've actually forgotten that I made this bit. So I looked at this instruction and like I never made that, but I did. It's right here. So we're almost done. So are we going to actually get to do these things? We can just stare at them at the end. So I actually went through this evening and what's the term? What is the term? Sorted out the Lego from the NXT thing. So I've had a lot of fun with tiny Technic pieces this evening. So it's that's been helpful. Helped me grow as a person. And I went to the secondhand stores and I happened to buy. I thought I'll have a check to see if they have in the book section the first book, any of the books in this Silo series, and they had the first one, so I bought the first one and I gave it to a friend. I said, "Here, read this, read it." Not because I think it's brilliant or anything. It's just because, I happen to be reading it at the moment, and I've seldom ever actually, read a book when somebody else I know is reading it in a similar time. And then you can talk about it. So I thought, here, I'm reading this. Well, I'm reading the next one in the series. So you can read it too. And then we'll all be happy. Even though it's really late. Like I've been told by people that the value in buying and reading books as they just come out and comparing with other people can be quite fun. Not an experience I've ever had. So I'm getting partially there. I'm trying to force somebody else to read a book. Kind of in sync with me, not quite, because I'm reading the second one and I just gave them the first one. And they're not a big reader at the moment, so by the time they finish that, I probably would have finished the entire series, which means I'll just have to sit there and not say anything because I know what happens, and it's like, and so she's going to hold on to these things. So they do have, I don't know if there's any point actually getting her to hold on, simply because it's going to be frustrating, I think, but actually it's not too frustrating. So she's going to go there, and then we can flip her around. Woo! That actually works better than you might expect. So that's quite good, quite good. But we've got more pieces, and it looks like we are actually going to make this bit. So I kept thinking when I saw this is that somehow you could actually, they'd fit in the groove and you could spin it around, but it seems like I misunderstood how these things worked. But I feel like this has got to be useful for making, I've just went and bought a whole pile of Technic stuff. I actually also bought another surprise thing. I bought this for $6. It's a used second-hand Lego Friends set. I honestly cannot remember it if I did this set on this channel or not. Like, I don't have a clue because I can't remember. I've done this set. I definitely have at some point in the past, but was it on this channel? Who knows? Because I did do 2 sets. I did repeat a set recently, which I'm sure I haven't actually published both of them yet online. That robot one, which is impressive, right? To completely forget that you've already done a set. But you know, it's complicated. It's complicated remembering everything that happens in life. So how am I going to do this? So that one goes like that. That one goes like this. And that one goes there. Oh, not really. It's always very hard to get this to go on straight. Okay, 1 done, 2 done. Oh, I can see where this is going to go. By that, I mean I know what these 2 pieces are for. In fact, I think that's the only thing left to do on the next page. Alright, so on you go. And on you go. And the moment of truth. I actually feel like this is going to be super hard. I feel like there's a lot of kids who had to ask their parents to get this bit to go together. It just feels exactly like the kind of thing that isn't very hard as an adult, but when you're a child, somehow it turns into some sort of frustrating nightmare. But then I did it just like that. I'm so cool. And that will be the next step. So I really want. I think there's like there's a big wheel thing with grooves on it that you can use to make big. Like, it's a really useful Technic thing, but it only comes in giant Technic sets. So I've got my little Technic truck right there. So that's going to go in the back. It's going to spin around. That's that. Anyway, it's done. And it's not actually the normal yellow, it's that light yellow. And it's not the orange yellow. It's just light yellow. But thanks for watching, and we'll do the rest of this next time. I like this, she's got a drink bottle right there. And there was the usual spare pieces, not counting that one. I find it funny that this is a spare piece. And there's a star. The star is not from this set though, is it? Was it? Like, where did the star come from? I didn't use the star. Oh, I did use the star. Look at that. It was right there. Completely forgot about that whole star thing. I could attach my NXT Mindstorm's giant motor to this thing and get it to spin around just for larks. So anyway, thanks for watching. Nothing else to say, and I shall see you next time, which will be tomorrow, more than likely. Bye.